Hello, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and today we are going to be playing through the brand new scenario number 9 from the Kickstarter campaign currently going, called the Skewed Perspective. And this is the layout for this guy. It's quite an interesting one. We've got two major rooms on either end of the board with a gigantic kind of hallway in the center. We're surrounded, or not really surrounded, but we got a whole bunch of people at the front door that don't really want to let us in. And they are cultists and some hounds. So these cultists during this scenario are actually going to be spawning living spirits, not living bones as per normal. And I just want to let you guys know that I've never actually played against the cultists or the hounds myself, so it should be quite interesting as we go along. So inside this room right here, I've set it up the way it's supposed to be with a couple extra things that have nothing to do with the scenario, just around, just to make things look cool. The only things part of the scenario that should be here are the two columns. So these are considered obstacles, and I'll be using them to my advantage, absolutely, to try to put some damage on guys. Now, the hounds are melee. These guys are all regular monsters. The cultists are also melee, so we have nothing to worry about for range in terms of damage from distance yet. Once the cultists start spawning the living spirits, then those guys are ranged and we have something to talk about. In terms of the cards, here's the Hound. This is what the Hound's stats look like. Being regular, we're talking about the left side of the card. Again, scenario level 3 as per normal. There's the Cultist. This is the guy we're going to be fighting against. And again, you can see the difference, not too much in terms of health from 8 to 9. So they're both actually equally just as dangerous, but the Cultist can actually spawn living spirits, which are in this particular scenario, so that's nasty. And then the living spirit. So the living spirit is what would come out of the cultists conjuring if they go ahead and do so, which would make our life miserable. So if they go ahead and do that, we've got some range guys to deal with. So what I'm going to do before we pick our cards and get into it is to read you the introduction to this scenario. So again, as I mentioned, it's Into the Unknown Skewed Perspective. The decision path was attack the prophet. So you guys are very vengeful and aggressive and really want some revenge and or killing. So Isaac has given it to you. So we're going to kill this prophet, and that's essentially what the goal is. So the introduction: you draw your weapons as the prophet raises to her feet and dusts off her robe. Again, you surprise me, she says. I will give a warning. I know your capabilities. I know you are about to die. You should flee. The prophet moves faster than you expect and exits through the room through a door in the back, leaving you with her many guards. Interesting choice of guards. And then that's essentially it. So then we're going to talk about the special rules. All cultists summon normal living spirits instead of normal living bones. So whenever we see a card that comes from the cultist saying, go ahead and spawn living bones, we're going to actually be spawning the living spirits, which is why I've set them up and got them ready here. And that's really the only difference between what is normal with these cultists. So we can go right into it and do our thing. Now, one thing I want to make mention of is this is the pattern we're allowed to actually spawn our guys at. So we can, in any of those 5 spots. So I've chosen to kind of go on the high side of the room, a little north, and we're kind of in the top 2 spots. Not for any particular reason. I do want to keep my guys together so that if there's any healing going on or anything that can work off each other being adjacent, then that's great. We know we're going to attract the Hound's attention in terms of being melee, and the cultists will come along at times as well. But their damage isn't too harsh, being a 2 and a 1. So it's really once they start conjuring living spirits that we start getting into trouble, as their damage and attacks are 3, and that's really nasty. So let's get right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Tinker's first 2 cards. And what I'm going to do is I thought about this in terms of a strategy, and I was like, you know what, we want to be able to put a lot of hurt on multiple guys at once and also set ourselves up for a really nice attack in the next turn. So we want to kind of think about what we're planning on doing, at least now, to be sure that we can effectively hurt them later. Now, you know what I might do actually? If I was to switch spots with these guys, what I'm thinking is, I'm wondering whether or not the Craighart... Now, the Craighart has a lot of pushing ability. So pushing's not so good unless these guys are here. So actually, maybe I'll put the Craighart here and the Tinker here. And maybe I will split them up by 1 space so that they're still kind of close to each other for healing and whatnot. The reason I want that separation is when these guys come to either attack one of the 2 dependent on where we are, we're only going to divide them a little bit, which is good for damage taking. But also the Craighart's got a nice line of sight for pushing a guy into this pillar. So if these guys come into this area, hopefully we can move ahead 1 at some point in a round and then shove him into the pillar, give him a couple damage using our really, really heavy swing attack, which we've used in the past. Very, very helpful. So anyway, let's start like this and see how it goes. And we want to try to focus on the same characters as much as we can in terms of attacking. And the biggest ones to attack, I think, are going to be the Cultists because they can create other enemies, and we don't want that. So we're going to focus our Tinker on going after him. So we're going to use a Reviving Shock to do our attack 2, range 3, target 2. Allows us to hit 2 individuals, which is not bad. Now, it would be nice to actually boost that a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Enhancement Shield. Now, I'm a little bit worrisome about whether or not this is a good idea. And the reason is because this has got a top 3, or top ability says attack 3, range 3. And what I'm really thinking of comboing that with is the Bomb, which would allow us to do an area of effect attack that would allow us to do attack 3 against 3 spots instead of using it just for a +1. Now, it does say you and all adjacent allies, and we wouldn't be adjacent, so this is probably the worst time to use that card, so I've just talked myself out of that one for now, and we're going to go ahead with this one for sure, and then we just really need to think about what to do next. Now, when it comes to movement and stuff like that, we want to be in a spot that's going to be advantageous for us. It's possible that maybe moving to here is good, so that there's a little bit of... I don't know, I guess we're blocking in terms of how many enemies can hit us at once, and then this guy might have to come around, and only if there's space he'll make it. The Cultists only move through, well, they move 3, that's quite a bit of movement, and 4. So these guys are going to pretty much get wherever they want, really. So we can't really block them per se. So let's go ahead and pick a move card. It doesn't really have to be anything too exciting. So maybe this, create a 2 damage, poison, trap, and adjacent empty hex. Ooh, that could be good for later. Could be really good for later because I could drag somebody into that. So I also have my decoy. Oh, I don't know if it's a good time to use a decoy or not. But again, I'm doing my attack first on the top. So I got to think about what I can get rid of on the bottom that I'm definitely not going to use just yet. You know what? I'm thinking net shooter. Let's do net shooter. I'm not planning on using that yet, so that'll give me some options. So 19 is not a bad start. For the Craighart, well, he's closer, so that's good. We know the Tinker's gonna be able to put a shot on him, hopefully, before he moves, and he's within 3, so that's good. But the Craighart, I like to put another hit on him, and I want it to be relatively painful for them to do so. And I'm not gonna move because I know that it's likely he's gonna end up here. So putting on the retaliation that we talked about, I don't do this. It's funny, I'd say I don't do this, but I actually do, or it seems like it works out that way. But this retaliation is one of my favorite cards, especially when you start in a scenario where you've got a crazy amount of enemies and you just got to deal with them right off the hop. If you're talking about light amount of enemies, I would maybe hesitate and hold off till later. But when there's this many guys coming at us, it's nice to have this retaliate because it goes through shields and all that other stuff, which these guys don't have, but it just guarantees that we get hits even when we're not fighting, and that's never a bad thing. So we'll go ahead with this for our bottom, and then for our top, we need something that has a heavy attack against this guy. Now the question is, if we're not going to move and we're going to put this on the bottom, what can we do from distance that's going to make a decent attack? Now, let me just see here. No, that's no good. So I could do like a crater, and the crater is the strongest ranged attack that I have. I also have, oh no, never mind. I have this one. This one's really nasty too. Haha. I like that. So range 3, and then all allies and enemies adjacent to target suffer damage. That's perfect. I like that a lot. So let's do 46. Yeah, it's a little later, but it's going to allow us to put a lot of damage on. Pretty much when these guys are clumped up, it's going to allow us to do a lot of damage. So, then that's a good question. Is that a good time to play that if I want to do that early? No. Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. So 19, 46. So we're pulling our cards for our Hound. So the Hound got a 26. And we're going to pull our cards for... Sorry, guys, I'll put this over here. Our cards for the Cultist are now going to get pulled. 10. Oh, gosh. So these are really early. So the Cultist actually goes first. That's terrible. And it has a... Oh, geez. It's got an area of attack effect. Oh, that actually might not be... Ooh, no, that's going to be bad. Okay, so what does it got here? We have a movement, so the movement of the Cultist is 3. We're going to talk about the very first one first. So 3 movement minus 1, so only 2. And it's going to get into its best attack possible. Oh, so on death. So in other words, if I kill it during this round, it's going to do an area of attack around itself, which is nasty. So what I want to do is I'm not going to kill this round anyway, I don't think. So that won't happen, but the attack's going to happen. So it's going to be a move of 3 -1, and they are going to attack, and they're not ranged. So he's going to come to the closest person, and that's going to be the Cragheart. So that is pretty much that. So that is good. Then we're going to go ahead and we will move the... we'll go ahead and move the other cultists so that they're all in line. So we'll get the second one here. The second one, now again, we can move up to 2 spaces based on this. So if we're going to the closest from 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's equal. So in terms of who's going sooner in the round, it's going to be the Tinkerer. So he's got the earlier initiative. So he's going to focus on him. So he's going to go 1, 2, and he's going to get right up beside him. So I'm going to put him here, 3. Now this is the thing. When you have a choice as to whether you put him here or here, you get to decide. That's the fun part. So I'm putting him here on purpose because I've got attacks that are going to hit adjacent guys, and I'm going to be smart about this. And then this guy here is going to do the same thing, and he's obviously closer to the Cragheart, so he's going to end up here. So now we just got a whole bunch of cultists sitting around him going crazy, and they're all going to attack. So this guy here is attacking the Tinker, but these two are attacking the Cragheart. So we'll do one at a time. So number 1 is going to attack. He has an attack of 1. But it's a -1, so it ends up being a 0, and it really just comes down to the modifier. So +1, okay? So the first one hit the Cragheart. Too bad he doesn't have his retaliation on him now, hey? That would have been handy. So he's down to 13. There's nothing I can do to block that, so we take that damage. I'm okay with it. The second one over here is going to attack the Cragheart, or the Tinkerer, I'm sorry. And again with a 0 based on the -1 from the attack. And -1, so nothing, absolutely nothing from this cultist. And then this cultist is going to attack the Cragheart, and it's a 0, so that's nothing as well, because 1 attack, -1 is nothing. And then this part of the card does not matter, because it's only on death does that crazy area of attack happen. So these guys are nasty because they get close to you, and then if you kill them, they are going to blow up all around you and cause damage, which is nasty. So that's finishing the cultist turn. We'll flip that to the side. Now we're just going to go over to the Tinkerer's turn. So the Tinkerer has to think about things a little differently now, being that the map has changed. Now originally my thought was to attack 2. The cool thing is I have an immobilize, so I could do that now that the cultist is close to me. So I'm going to immobilize the cultist, might as well, right? Because he's sitting beside me. Get the heck away from him. Now, you got to remember also that obstacles that are in the game do not block line of sight for attacks or range attacks. So one of our tactics could be to go over to the obstacle essentially and just hide behind it so that they can't get to us. So they have to go the long way. They don't hinder range attacks at all. So my 2 movement, I could go all the way to here, but then if I move to there, that's actually not bad. If I go 1, 2, I'm here, and I can still do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I can hit both of these cultists. So let's do that. So I did that with this, the immobilize, which I targeted this enemy here and immobilized him, put the token on. And this is going to be discarded. Now we're going to go ahead and do our attack. So our attack is 2, and we're going to do it to both characters. We'll pick this one first. We'll hit him first and see what happens. I don't have anything that'll boost a range attack. This is for melee. So, yeah, that's pretty much all we can do. So we'll go ahead and flip this, see what we get. -1. Okay, so we took... we got a 2 attack, -1 is 1, and then that particular cultist, being number 1, has no shield, so it takes, or sorry, it's number 2, it takes a damage. So 1 damage on that cultist. Now he's going to do the same attack using the reviving shock. He's going to do it on the number 1 cultist. So let's hope for a little better result. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that was terrible. Wow. That null always comes back to haunt me. So that's it. Nothing happens there. Jeez, that was bad. And that is the end of the Tinkerer's turn. Well done, failure. Okay, so then we're gonna go over to the Hounds. Oh gosh, so the Hounds are gonna come after us. They're gonna move and attack. So they're gonna try their hardest to get close to us. So they've got tons of movement. So it's really just about who they're focusing on. So this Hound needs 1, 2, 3 to get to me, or 1, 2, sorry. This one needs 1, 1, 2, 3 to get to me. So it's really split. So he's gonna end up coming over here. Although I can choose which way I want them to go. I'm going to have him come here instead, so that he's kind of jumbled up against everybody. And then this one here is going to go 1. He's going to go through his partner here, and he's going to end up right here. So now he's beside me, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and do attacks for these guys. So each of them do attack. Now they're at a 2 for damage right off the start. The first one's going to attack the Tinkerer at a 2 damage. -2, so nothing on the first Tinker. Awesome. Then the second one is going to go -1. Sweet. So just 1 damage on the Cragheart. We'll take that damage. Awesome. So that actually panned out pretty good. So now the Hounds are done. And let me think here. Yeah, that's good. So we have to remember the Hounds have Retaliate, so if we decide to attack them, that's going to affect things. Now this is what's really cool because, oh shoot, this is where things get nasty. So here's the question. We're kind of surrounded. Based on movement right now, I can move to here, and I could even, this is bad. So I have this card here that says attack 3, and then all allies and enemies adjacent to the target suffer a damage. So I could shoot this guy, but if I shoot him, then these guys will get hit as well, which is a bonus for me. It's not a bad idea, really. But the weakest Cultist really only has 1 damage, so it's really not that bad. But I need movement because I'd be adjacent to him, so it'd be a disadvantaged attack, which is kind of bad. But I might have to just take that because I really want this Retaliate on me for later, because there's going to be so many guys that are going to be attacking me right now, and I want to be able to retaliate against all of them and be able to put even more damage on them. So let's do that. Let's risk it, and let's do an attack. We're going to do an attack, essentially. We're going to pick all allies and enemies adjacent to the target suffer damage. So we're going to attack this guy. It's going to effectively hit him. So it is going to bump up the leaf element. Now, it's going to be a disadvantaged attack, so that's our downside. I could use the Eagle Eye Goggles in order to make this attack a normal attack, but I'm not going to do that this time. The reason is that I want to use it later on a bigger attack when it's clean and I can get an actual advantage. If I use it now, I'm only just negating the disadvantage, and that's not really worth it for me. So we're going to go ahead and pick this guy here, number 1. We're going to attack him so that we can get all kinds of damage on the rest of them around. So here we go. Let's see what happens. I don't think there's anything else I can do to bump anything. No, I don't have the wind element up. So let's go. Okay, so there's my first one. It's going to be a -1 for sure. -1. Okay, so we just lose 1, so it's not that bad. So -1 off of a disadvantaged range attack is 2 damage. So that's okay. So we get 2 damage on number 1 Cultist. But now everyone adjacent to him, including allies, gets hit. So that means this guy here, number 2, he gets hit. And then number 3, he gets hit. So we get some extra damage there. And the leaf element is going to boost all the way to the strong column. So that's good. This is going to go in his discard. And then I'm going to go ahead and play this one here, which I always love to play, especially in situations like this where I'm surrounded and taking a lot of attention. This one is going to end up right here. And we're going to be ready to go with tracking for retaliation when they attack. That's it. We did it. So that is the end of this round. So this is going to be a great time. I'll do my shuffling. I'm going to wane things down. We're not short resting because we have tons of cards. I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks again for watching, and keep rolling solo.